Are we live? I think we're good. Alright. I guess Jerome Powell's under criminal investigation by Trump, which I haven't really researched it yet, so that's probably what this stream's going to be focused on. And, I have a lot to say about this stuff, so we'll see where it goes. But, first things first, 471 stores closed so far in, Gamestop stores. That's crazy. 50 just in California alone, which is wild. That's a lot of stores in California. It's a lot of stores. 50 stores. I'm curious with all these new store closures, what are the earnings going to start to look like? Like, they're probably not putting much money into the stores at this point because they're closing so many. So I think the earnings will be really interesting going forward, 2026, 2027. But couple interesting things from this list. Besides that, a lot of stores in Florida too. A lot of stores in general. Like, I don't even know if this list is complete. They might be closing more stores. And even in February, you might get even more store closures in February. So pretty interesting. I thought this one was kind of interesting. Hallock, Massachusetts, I think that is. This store opened as an electronics boutique in 1979. Although it relocated in the mall several times, it had the oldest opening date. So they closed literally the oldest GameStop store right now. Like, that's pretty crazy. And then one more thing. Where is it? This part's really interesting. Where is it? Yeah, right here. I think this is Vermont, VT. I'm pretty sure that's Vermont. This leaves only one GameStop remaining in Vermont with these two closures. So there's literally one GameStop left in Vermont. Like, that's crazy. That just goes to show maybe they're going to close every store. Like, I don't know. I feel like it'd be valuable to at least have one, but yeah, that part's really interesting. Only one GameStop store left in Vermont. That's crazy. Like, I wonder, and they finally uploaded my GameStop store, so maybe the list is finally complete here, but we'll see over the next week or so, and then, like I said, they'll probably close more in February. So, yeah, but let's get on to Powell, I guess. I haven't researched any of this stuff yet. What's up, Moose? What's up, Muma? The headlines are funny? No, I don't think this is funny. This is actually pretty serious, but where is it? There was a video where Powell responded. I wonder where it went. What happened to it? Oh yeah, and Trump's trying to make a cap on credit cards for 10%. That's pretty interesting. And I guess they had a meeting and the banks are worried about that. I haven't looked into that either, so maybe we'll research that here in a minute. But I gotta find this Powell video. Mr. Powell. Yeah, right here. Statement by Fed Chair Powell. Oh, it's only 2 minutes long? Okay. So we'll watch this and then we'll watch the Voidzilla video real quick.
Good evening. On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned, in part, a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. but this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
See, the renovation of the buildings, I don't really understand that, but the fact that they're getting investigated because they haven't lowered interest rates is complete bullshit, because they base their interest rate decisions off of economic data, and the only reason inflation is as high as it is because of Trump's tariffs. So if Trump would have never put on tariffs, inflation wouldn't have been as high as it was throughout the past year. Well, recorded, on data, and the Federal Reserve would have lowered interest rates at a faster pace. But since, they did the tariffs and it made economic data show higher inflation, they weren't able to lower interest rates as much as they probably would have. So to be investigating the Fed when it's literally Trump's fault is pretty fucking stupid. And yeah, I don't know, man. Ugh. Crazy. The independence of the Fed's pretty important, I feel like. So if this spirals into something more, I don't know. The future is pretty whack when it comes to economics, because the Fed knows what they're doing. Like, I don't see how Trump or whoever, maybe it's politicians in general, think that Jerome's not doing his job. Like, I don't know. This shit frustrates me because from my perspective, I feel like the Fed knows what they're doing. But anyway, let's see what Voidzilla's got to say. Mr. Voidzilla.
The man who controls America's money printer, aka Jerome Powell, is being threatened. In a video, he claims that he might be criminally indicted for not lowering interest rates fast enough.
Good evening.
I'll be curious if Voidzilla has the same opinion as me, because I should have just watched Voidzilla's video, but whatever. I just don't understand, because they would have lowered interest rates if the tariffs didn't make inflation go higher. I don't know. It's fucking ridiculous. But anyway, let's see what Mr. Void's got to say. Mr. Steven.
This is an extraordinary statement, mostly because of how much the Fed chair never talks about things like this. Like, for him to release the hostage video of him being like,
yeah, that's a really good point. Jerome never talks about political things. Like, Jerome usually avoids those topics. So right off the bat, that's a really good point that Jerome's even made a video talking about it.
Look, the guy's threatening me, I'm going to try to keep doing my job. The reason that's wild is that it's never happened before. And look, while presidents wanting the Fed to lower interest rates is nothing new, almost every president wants that. The idea that a Fed chair gets investigated and has to release the hostage video, that is new. We've never seen that happen ever. In fact, it's important context to know that Jerome Powell was actually appointed by Trump.
Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve.
And even then, they weren't on such good terms. But that's where you could see the independence of the Fed at work. And so while he would be criticized at the time, like the attitude was he wasn't really going to respond. That's been the attitude of the Fed sort of all the time. They try to stay above the noise of politics.
Recently, the President of the United States, who appointed you, has been less than favorable in about some of your decisions. Does that bother you in any way?
No. So we're very, very focused on our job. We don't get distracted by other things. We do not take political factors into consideration either in our discussions or in our decisions at all.
That's right. As long as the Fed has been around, and by the way, there's plenty of reasons to not like the Fed legitimately, but I would argue independence is not one of them. I think that's a actually good quality, and that's what you see kind of referenced there. The idea that the Fed should not be reacting to what a president is saying at the time. And the reason for that, there's a good reason, it's because all the presidents would want low interest rates all of the time, even though that's not in the best interest of the economy all of the time. And the reason for that is because low interest rates usually mean a lot of growth. It also can mean heated inflation, which ends up hurting the end customer, right? But nobody wants to take the hit of higher interest rates in the short run because nobody likes it, right? So the Fed, whether you like them or not, has sort of been assigned the...
I disagree with that. High interest rates are extremely valuable if you have money, because you're able to get things cheaper. Lower interest rates isn't necessarily a good thing, so I really disagree with that. I don't find lower, if you're already positioned in assets, sure, lower interest rates are great, but if you're someone trying to get into something, higher interest rates are very valuable because there's less competition, especially in real estate, and you're able to put cash in a bank and actually get money off of the interest, which is also very valuable, because if the market ever crashes, which doesn't necessarily look like it's going to happen, it's very valuable to have cash. So higher interest rates are extremely valuable. Lower interest rates, in my opinion, are not good.
Adult in the room job of raising interest rates to keep inflation in control.
The only thing good about lower interest rates is so people can get cheaper mortgages. Other than that, what value does lower interest rates have? Maybe corporations and other businesses are able to get cheaper loans. So, potentially they could hire more people maybe. I guess there's some benefits to lower interest rates, but not really. The only lower interest rates just help people who are already rich. And, you could say that about higher interest rates as well, because if you have a bunch of money, you could get something for cheaper, but I don't know. I just don't agree with that. I find high interest rates valuable personally, but I also don't get loans or anything like that. So I don't know.
And again, whether you think they've done a good job of that or not is irrelevant. The point is that was their job. They're supposed to be independent. And pretty much all presidents may make some comments about wanting lower rates, but Trump has definitely taken it a little bit farther, mentioning Powell a lot, pressuring him to lower rates, even going so far as to start hinting at the idea of a possible federal investigation. And this all centered around a Federal Reserve renovation, which is running over budget. And there started to be pressure that maybe they would look into Jerome Powell doing something bad if he didn't play ball and lower interest rates. They would try to accuse him of some fraud or some kind of misstatement or something like that. And Trump even actually visited the whole renovation site to kind of make a big PR spectacle of it. And there was this moment where they're arguing over how much the building should have cost, because each one is jockeying for, oh, you're spending too much money. And the other one's being like, no, I didn't. It's this really weird moment if you don't understand what's happening underneath the surface.
It looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1. And
He's shaking his head. What are you talking about? Sorry, I was looking at something. I haven't even looked at the chat. My bad. Let's see. Jimmy closes it. Oh, yeah. I don't really care about GameStop articles. I'm sorry. Sorry to say. At this point, I don't care about anyone's opinion on GameStop or headlines or anything like that. I think yeah. Sorry to say. Usually play CSGO. Yeah, video or screens aren't good if you're trying to sleep. No, for sure. Especially like video games activate, dopamine and stuff, so probably not good when you're trying to sleep. Closing price, that's chill. I don't think it's very difficult to predict the closing price. I don't think you have to ask AI for that, honestly. Marius, what's up? What's up, Marius? I saw that APLD is ripping, which is pretty crazy. I guess for once the APLD investors were right. Isn't that crazy? It's only GameStop where the chat like predicts the price action or the polls. Pretty interesting. How is APLD printing money? You were shorting it the other day. That doesn't make any sense, but back to this.
Underneath the surface.
It looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Now, you're including the Martin renovation. You just added.
Our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well,
including
no,
the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's
So,
not new.
So yeah, that was months ago. They were just kind of setting the stage for, hey, we may look into this if you don't play ball. And that's sort of explicitly said later, like a few seconds later in that exact interview. Trump is asked, well, is there anything that would cause you to sort of back off Jerome Powell on all the comments you're making? And he gives away the game.
Are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make you back off some of the earlier criticism?
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. But
Why? Why does he want lower interest rates? I see that. I see him say it a lot, but why? Why do they want lower interest rates? That is question number one. Why? What's up, Azuzu? Hope you're doing good, bro. Hope you guys all had a good weekend. Why it's printing? I guess our definition of printing is different. You're just making day trades. That to me, that's not printing. You're just making simple day trades. Printing is completely different in my eyes. Making a small day trades, I don't know. I don't know if that's printing. What's up, Martin? Why does everyone suggest asking AI? I don't know. AI is terrible. Maybe he has personal loans and wants cheaper rates. He probably wants to refinance the government debt. Most likely. I would say. That's probably maybe the goal. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know.
other than that, what can I tell you?
I mean, it couldn't be more obvious. They go to investigate your cost overruns when they don't like what you do, and when asked, is there anything that would tone down your criticisms? Well, yeah, if the guy does what I want. Now, I should be clear, President Trump denies having any knowledge of the Justice Department's investigation, although this is kind of undermined by the fact that Trump has recently threatened to sue Powell for incompetence.
They're thinking about bringing a suit against Powell for incompetence.
So yeah, there's no way really to look at this as anything but pressuring the Fed to do what we want so we can lower rates, even if they're not seeing the economic data for that. Now, I want to be super clear. You can't just, if you're the Fed chair, it's not like Jerome Powell just sets the rates by himself.
Yeah, that's a good point too, but the only reason the economic data doesn't suggest a rate decrease is because of the tariffs. But now that the tariffs have been implemented and time has passed, you're starting to see the inflation data go down, which is pretty evident. I believe we can look at it right now. So, like, yeah, in the next, like, couple years, they are going to lower interest rates based off of the inflation data. And the unemployment data is also going up, so they would lower interest rates based on that as well. But if, this little moment, June, July, August, September, when they implemented tariffs and inflation went up, if they would have never done that, inflation would have been still sticking around this like 2.3% level, maybe even lower, and they would have lowered interest rates. So it's just like, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. The only reason they haven't lowered interest rates as much is because of what they've implemented through monetary policy. It's so fucking stupid. Ugh.
There are 12 people who vote on the rates, and that's actually how it gets decided. And that matters because regardless whether this investigation leads to an indictment or it's just threats, Jerome Powell is going to be out as the Fed chair very soon. And Trump is going to replace him with somebody who's more favorable towards his thinking about interest rates. But that person also has to get those votes of the 11 other people. And Jerome Powell could stay on as one of those voting members, if I understand correctly, until 2028. So the implication of Jerome Powell goes much longer than just his current chairmanship. I think there's a pressuring to just remove him altogether because he has been an influential opposing voice to the lower interest rates at all cost conversation. Now, I did want to address some false information I've also seen circulating about Jerome Powell. I saw this guy tweeting about this. He says that Jerome Powell is a flagrant partisan working for the deep state. I mean, these people, I don't know if they just don't understand how the Fed works or they know nothing about Jerome Powell even himself. Jerome Powell is a registered Republican. He was originally appointed by George H.W. Bush to the Treasury. And then Obama appointed him, Trump appoints him, Biden appoints him. He has been a staple of the government, serving both Republicans and Democrats forever. But if you just want to go straight down the line of like, you want to play like the he's a hack thing, the guy's literally donated to Republicans his whole life. And then he stopped making donations when he got elected to the Fed chair so he could do the job of being independent and not just serving like one guy's interest or one party's interest, but instead serve everyone. Now, again, you can have disagreements about whether the Fed actually does that job or has messed up that job. But the idea that we are going to be benefited by a Federal Reserve, which is just beholden under duress to what the presidents want at any time, you're just not looking down the curve, I feel, because it's not always going to be a Republican in office. It's going to be a Democrat too. And if the Fed's just a biased guy, it's just always going to be low rates that cause the dollar to further devalue. I mean, I feel like already there's a big public national conversation about the impact of inflation. And you want that problem to be worse? I truly do not understand this one. It's going to be interesting to see how people lay out the case against Powell. Personally, I find the whole, we're so concerned about the budget thing to be really weak. I think ultimately the question has to be, would you have cared if interest rates are low? Would you have been super focused on the Federal Reserve building cost overruns? I don't actually think so. When you actually look at what they're thinking of investigating him for, it's some statements he made to Congress where he said there's no VIP dining room, there's no marble, there's no special elevators, just old elevators that have been there. There's no new water features, no beehives. There's no roof terrace gardens. And this person says this statement is false. So actually what we're fighting about is like a few water features and elevators. And maybe a dining room. It's like, that is actually what the national conversation is about. That's why we are totally legitimately investigating this guy who seems to have a face that appropriately sums up the situation. But look, I mean, it's no joke. They got grand jury subpoenas. I mean, that's not easy to get. It's a little more than just opening an investigation. It shows that they're quite serious. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, are we going to enter Banana Republic stage where like 0% interest forever? I don't know, but we will find out.
Crazy, man. Crazy. We live in a crazy world right now. Man. They got to keep the independence of the Fed. There can't be pressure from politicians. It's not going to work long term. It's not gonna work. Sure, anyone who has assets, if they are able to do whatever, accomplish whatever they're trying to accomplish, and lower interest rates more than they should be, anyone with assets is probably going to benefit, which great. But I don't think that's the goal here. I don't think the goal is to I don't think you want to benefit people with assets. They're already fucking rich. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's valuable to benefit those people. I think it's better to keep the interest rates at a more moderate level. But what do I know, I guess. Maybe I don't understand the world as much as I think I do. But making rich people richer probably isn't beneficial for anyone. Let's be real. Making the rich people richer is probably not beneficial. Alright, I want to read this. I don't know if this is a video or not. Let's see. Previous Fed chairs, Treasury secretaries, and prominent economists came together Monday to support Powell. Central bank leader faces potential perjury allegations from the Justice Department. Reported criminal inquiry into Federal Reserve Chair Jay Powell is an unprecedented attempt to use prosecutorial, that's a weird word, attacks to undermine that independence. A statement backed by dozens of signatures said, "This is how monetary policy is made in emerging markets with weak institutions, with highly negative consequences for inflation and the functioning of their economies more broadly," it continued. "Has no place in the United States, whose greatest strength is the rule of law, which is at the foundation of our economic success." Among the signers of the statement were former Fed chairs Ben Bernanke, Janet Yellen, and Alan Greenspan, along with former Treasury Secretaries Henry Paulson, Timothy Geithner, Robert Rubin, and Jacob Lew. Economists such as Glenn Hubbard, Kenneth Rogoff, and Jared Bernstein also signed on. Powell on Sunday confirmed that he'd been notified by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C., that he's subject of a probe into the statements he made to Congress last June. In his testimony on Capitol Hill, Powell answered questions regarding the massive renovation projects at the central bank's headquarters in the nation's capital. Didn't the White House just do a bunch of renovations? Like, why did they... like, why is it a big deal if the Federal Reserve Building gets some renovations, but not the White House? At the time, President Trump and other officials used cost overruns to intensify their criticism of Powell. Trump threatened to fire the Fed chair, but backed off. It's not clear that the president would have the authority to remove Powell, with an unrelated case against Fed Governor Lisa Cook set for a hearing before the U.S. Supreme Court next week that also addresses the president's power over the central bank. The Federal Reserve's independence and the public perception of that independence are critical for economic performance, including achieving the goals Congress has set for the Federal Reserve of stable prices, maximum employment, and moderate long-term interest rates. Jonathan Kantner, former Assistant U.S. Attorney General, told CNBC on Monday that the bar for convicting someone in cases like these is very high, particularly if there's a sense that the prosecution is politically motivated. Trump has been a long critic of Powell as he pushed the Fed to lower interest rates. Central bank approved 3 reductions in 2025. In a statement Sunday, Powell alleged that the accusations are a pretext to remove him from office. If that is established, it would set in motion a whole bunch of other legal disputes. This could get quite messy. Yeah, this is fucking crazy, honestly. Yeah, Apple picks Google Gemini to run AI-powered Siri in the coming years. Google is fucking killing it right now. Absolutely killing it. They hit 4 trillion market cap today. Very impressive. Very impressive. Meta names former Trump advisor Dinah Powell McCormick as president, vice chair. Trump threatens to sideline Exxon from Venezuela oil. Paramount Skydance sues Warner Bros. Discovery and hostile takeover attempt. Meta urges Australia to rethink under 16 social media ban. Yeah, probably not. Probably shouldn't rethink that. I don't think children should be using social media. I thought there was one more thing about this Powell thing. I thought I saw something, but I want to see this credit card thing real quick. Bank executives were sent scrambling over the weekend after Trump declared late Friday American credit card companies would be subject to 10% cap on interest rates they can charge customers. See, like something like this would benefit the average person. You know, there's a lot of credit card debt out there, and it's probably, 20-25% interest on the debt. So having a 10% cap, that would be beneficial to people, I feel like. But yeah, pretty interesting. Trump proposed a 1-year cap on interest rates starting January 20th. While it's unclear exactly how that would be enforced, the industry message is clear. The plan would bring unintended consequences for consumers in the American economy. The move would make large swaths of the credit card industry unprofitable. Oh, that's actually really interesting, especially tied to customers with less than ideal credit profiles. According to banks and analysts, the average credit card rate nationally is 19.7% as of this month, while rate subprime borrowers and store-specific cards are even higher. Rather than offer loss-making products to consumers, the industry would simply stop offering access to customers with subprime credit, along with a slew of other changes around card programs, including scaling back rewards. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. See, that sucks. I love credit card rewards. Luckily, if this does go into play, I've already benefited. I honestly can't get really any more credit cards, so I've already done my credit card run. But that sucks. If this happens, that's gonna suck. It's gonna benefit, or it's gonna affect a lot of things like airlines, hotels. It's gonna be interesting. Consumers would either spend less or rely on other forms of unsecured debt, many of which carry even higher interest rates than credit cards, they say. Yeah, you would have to go get like a personal loan from what are those places called? Like a cash. I forget what those places are called. Like those really like predatory loans, like almost like hundreds of percents of interest in a lot of cases. We cannot offer products at a loss. There's no scenario where we would take our entire portfolio to 10%, said a person not with knowledge of the operations of a large bank who has to remain anonymous. It's not a stretch to suggest this will very quickly tank the economy. The drag on the economy from less spending could be more acute for airlines, retailers, and restaurants, which would have to make up for lost card revenues, by potentially raising prices. Hey, at least it benefits GameStop, I guess. I guess there's one positive to look at. At least it benefits GameStop if it does happen. The industry's trade groups issued a joint statement late Friday making their case. Evidence shows that a 10% interest rate cap would reduce credit availability and be devastating for millions of American families and small business owners who rely on and value their credit cards, the very consumers this proposal intends to help. It would help people who are already in debt, though. It might not help some things, but anyone who already has massive credit card debt, that would potentially be slashing their interest in half, so that'd be pretty beneficial for them. This isn't the industry's first time contending with possible price controls. A bill was introduced last year from Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri and Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont that would limit card APRs at 10% for 5 years. While the bill is stalled in Congress, a study looking at the Missouri market from Electronic Payment Coalition found that a 10% cap on rates would mean that more than 80% of card accounts would lose access. Most accounts with credit scores below 740 would be shut, and the study claimed. Yeah, that's a good point. They probably would just shut down a bunch of credit cards. But if you're not using your credit, I mean, they're not going to shut down credit cards that have debt on them. If you have like a $5,000-$10,000 balance on your credit card, they're not going to shut they're not going to shut your account, but if you have, you know, a bunch of credit cards like I do with $0 balances, they'll probably shut them all. Which, you know, that would be pretty negative for my credit score, but I don't know. Pretty interesting. Complicating matters. It's unclear to bankers how Trump's rate cap would take place. Yeah, that's also a good question. How are they going to implement this? Most straightforward approach through legislation in Congress isn't possible by proposed January 20th start date. Other enforcement means through banking regulators, including the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, are also possible, but the Trump administration has repeatedly tried to shutter the agency, and the industry has had a successful run at defeating CFPB rules in federal court. I'm not aware of an authority that they can use to do this unilaterally in any kind of sweeping way. As far as I can tell, telling them they have until January 20th is an attempt to create pressure and have them do it voluntarily. Ooh, that's a good point. While the exact mechanism that Trump can use to enforce an interest rate cap is unclear, card issuers now face the risk that rates could be headed lower in some form of negotiated compromise with the government. Is 10% an opening bid, he said. There's a long distance between 10% and what companies charge today. Americans had a collective $1.23 trillion in credit card debt as of the third quarter last year. According to data, balances have been climbing as many Americans spent down the savings they built up during the global pandemic. Yep. See, I mean, 1.23 trillion in credit card debt, you know, you cap the interest rate at 10%. It's set up here, average interest rate is like 19%. You know, you're that's beneficial to anyone who's in debt. So, you know, there are some negatives that would come with this, but also some positives. Potential positives. It also could be bad, you know. Instead of people using their credit cards, if they get lower credit limits or whatever it may be, they're going to have to go get like super predatory loans that could have like 40-50% interest or higher. So there is definitely some negatives that come along with this, but there could be positives. It's hard to say. Pretty interesting. Up around 800 profit. Oh, that's chill. The market was down a lot earlier, but now you're positive. Russell's still hitting all-time highs. I think the S&P's close to all-time highs again. And the Dow's somewhere around all-time highs, but tech looked like it might potentially make a bounce back, maybe. We'll see. Crypto, flat as normal. Doesn't really move these days. GameStop doesn't move, so not very interesting. I thought there was something else I wanted to talk about. I could have sworn there was something else. Oh, yeah. Duh. I didn't stream on Friday, so I didn't talk about this. Ryan Cohen scheduled a 13D, even though he didn't buy shares. But from my perspective, it seems like he's potentially like making the commitment to exercise the warrants, because he has 3.7 million in warrants, but his sole voting power is now, 41 million on top of his 37 million shares. So maybe in a way, this is him making a commitment to exercise the warrants no matter what. Like, I don't know. Not really sure on that. But I think you have to file a Schedule 13D every year if you're over like 5% or something. Not exactly sure on that either, but there is a important piece of info in this, which is right here. Maybe it's because of the pay package too. Maybe that's the reason why he had to report this. But on January 6, 2026, issuer's board of directors granted Mr. Cohen a long-term performance award consisting of performance-based non-qualified stock options to purchase an aggregate 171 million shares. Per share exercise price of $20.66. Pursuant to the terms, blah, blah, blah. Grant of the award is subject to approval of the stockholders, which I think that's March or April. We're going to be able to vote on that. Not like any of our vote matters, but, you know, I hope they approve this package. That would be valuable, because if it ends up working out, Ryan Cohen's going to be putting like $3.5 billion of his own money into the company. You know, it's going to dilute the share price, but this isn't a bad dilution because it's going to Ryan Cohen, and he's probably never going to sell his shares. So, like, it's actually valuable dilution. You're getting, you know, you're diluting the shares, but it's going to hands that'll never sell. So, in a way, you're not really diluting the shares if you really think about it. But this is a very important part. The options will expire 10 years from the grant date. So, this is a 10-year plan, 100 billion market cap in 10 years. Do you think they could do it? Do you think they could do it? I don't know. The award is divided into 9 tranches, 10% of the award vesting in each of the first 7 tranches, and 15% of the award vesting in the final 2. Each tranche is eligible to vest only if the issuer achieves both a designated market cap hurdle and the corresponding EBITDA. And I find the EBITDA part of the plan important, because the share price just can't randomly go up and then he gets the pay package. Like, GameStop has to perform for him to get the pay package. So having the EBITDA, and then another interesting thing about the EBITDA is the cash. The cash doesn't come into play with EBITDA because it's interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. So any money made through the cash doesn't go towards EBITDA. So GameStop is like expecting something in the next 10 years, you know, whether it's merger with another or, you know, acquiring other businesses to increase the EBITDA. I don't know. Maybe they're going to turn the business around and the business is going to start making multiple billions of dollars. I don't know, but having this is very valuable. And like I said, the cash isn't in play here. So, you know, you're making 400 million on the cash. I think it's 300 million. Like, that doesn't even come into play here. So that's pretty interesting. First tranche vests only if the issuer achieves a market cap of 20 billion and EBITDA of 2 billion, I believe. I lost my spot. 10 billion increase in market cap and cumulative performance EBITDA of 2 billion. In order for the award to fully vest, the issuer's market cap would have to grow to 100 billion, and the issuer would need to achieve 10 billion in cumulative EBITDA. Mr. Cohen will generally not be permitted to sell or dispose of any shares acquired upon exercise of the options until after the 2-year anniversary of the applicable date of exercise of such options. Wait, Mr. Cohen will generally not be permitted to sell or dispose of any shares acquired upon exercise of the options until after the 2-year anniversary of the applicable date of exercise. So I guess he can sell if he wants, but I just don't see Ryan Cohen selling. I feel like me and Ryan see the same things. I don't know. I feel like he doesn't want to pay taxes, so why would he sell? And that's, you know, that's how I feel. I don't want to pay taxes, so why would I sell? But kind of an interesting little thing there. Each tranche shall be earned subject to achieving the applicable market cap hurdle and cumulative performance EBITDA hurdle until the expiration date, so long as Mr. Cohen remains continuously actively employed as the issuer's chief executive officer, executive chairman, or in such other comparable positions as then reasonably approved by the board through the applicable vesting date. The foregoing description of the award does not purport to be complete and is qualified in its entirety by reference to the award agreement between the issuer and Mr. Cohen, which is attached to Exhibit 99.1 here too and is incorporated herein by reference. On October 7th, 2025, the board declared a distribution in the form of warrants. Yeah, we know that. Warrants will expire October 30th. Yep. Yep. You saw it needs to be 60 days? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And then you got the 8K, which just has a little more info. I don't really want to read the 8K. It's not really. I'm sure there's some things that are important here, but is it this? Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. So we should get a proxy statement at some point, unless that's this. But I don't think this is the proxy statement. But this is just the info of the stock option award. You know, grant date January 6, 2026. That's interesting that the grant date is January 6th when we have to vote on it, here in a couple months. So 10 years from January 6th. January 6th, 2036. You know, we'll see where we're at then. We'll see where we're at. If we're making $10 billion in EBITDA, I feel like 100 billion market cap is very low. Like 10 billion EBITDA is fucking insane. And that's not even counting the cash you'll have at that point. Like, how much cash will you have at that point? How much money will you be making on interest just off cash? And it's also interesting because they can't just buy like crypto or like stocks. They have to buy actual money-making businesses. Like they can't just buy stocks, I don't think. So I don't pretty weird, bro. Pretty weird. Definitely going to be an interesting 10 years, I guess. Going to be an interesting 10 years. Let's see. Order for particular tranche to be earned, eligible to vest. Both market cap and EBITDA set forth next to tranche must be achieved. More than one tranche may be earned and eligible to vest simultaneously. Yeah, see, that's an interest. I haven't read this yet, but that's an interesting part right there. More than one tranche may be earned and eligible to vest simultaneously upon effectiveness of a certification. So, like, I don't know if it would happen, but they could make the whole $10 billion in 1 year, but you would still need 100 billion on the stock. But that would be pretty interesting if you got multiple tranches invested in a short period of time. Provided the requisite market cap and EBITDA hurdle for each tranche had been met, for example, assume that none of the tranches have been earned and eligible to vest, and upon certification, the market cap is determined to be 40 billion, and cumulative EBITDA is determined to be 4 billion. As the effective date of such certification and subject to participant remaining in eligible services, tranches 1, 2, and 3 will be earned. For the avoidance of doubt, no options will be earned if a market capitalization hurdle. Yeah. Let's see. Of at least 20 billion is not achieved, or if a cumulative EBITDA hurdle of at least 2 billion is not achieved, then there'll be no interpolation between hurdles. That's going to be interesting if they make like 4 or 5 billion in EBITDA and we're still trading below 20 billion. That would be pretty interesting. I don't know how that would happen, but that'd be definitely interesting to see. Definitely interesting to see. Performance hurdles are subject to adjustment pursuant to the agreement. When measuring the market cap to determine whether a market cap hurdle is met, market cap on particular, each a determination date refers to the 60 trading day market cap. Oh, is this what you're talking about? So you gotta be more you gotta put more info in what you're asking, because I haven't even read this before, so I didn't even know what you were talking about. 60 trading day market cap determined in accordance with the following. A trading day refers to a day on which a primary stock exchange or national market system on which the shares traded, or on which it last traded if the shares are no longer listed, is open for trading. 2. Company's daily market cap for a particular trading day is equal to the product of the total number of outstanding shares as of the close of such trading day, as reported by the company's transfer agent, and B, the closing price of per share as of the close of such trading day, as reported by the primary exchange. Such product, the daily market cap. 3. 60 trading day market cap is equal to the quotient of the sum of the daily market cap of the company for each trading day during the 60 trading day period immediately prior to the including determination date divided by 60. Yeah. So it's the average of 60 days. Market cap hurdle set forth in the table above for a particular tranche is set if the 60 trading day market cap is equal to or exceeds the applicable market cap hurdle on the determination date. Once a market cap hurdle is achieved, it is forever deemed achieved for purposes of the eligibility of the tranches to be earned in... Market cap hurdle set forth in table above for particular tranche is met if the 60 trading day market cap is equal to or exceeds the applicable market cap hurdle on determination date. Once a market cap hurdle is achieved, it is forever deemed achieved for purposes of the eligibility of the tranche to be earned and eligible. Okay. That makes sense. So if it's like, so if you're like at a 20 billion market cap for like 30 days, and then you're at 40 billion for another 30 days, that would be average, 30 billion market cap. So that would have, those first two tranches eligible forever, basically, if I'm understanding that right. Once you've reached the market cap thing, it's set. Even if it goes back below, 20 billion, you still had an average of 30 billion in that scenario. For purpose of this award, performance EBITDA means for any fiscal quarter an amount equal to the adjusted EBITDA as reported in the earnings release furnished pursuant to item 2.02 of Form 8K for such fiscal quarter, provided that unrealized gain or loss on investment, including unrealized gain or loss on digital assets, shall be added back or deducted as applicable to the extent not already included in adjusted EBITDA. For any fiscal quarter, an amount equal to the adjusted EBITDA as reported to the earnings release furnished pursuant unrealized gain or loss on investments, including gains or loss on digital assets, shall be added back or deducted to the extent not already included in adjusted EBITDA. I don't know what that means. Stock-based compensation expense will be added back to performance EBITDA to the extent such expenses were deducted in computing adjusted EBITDA. Added back to the performance EBITDA. Unrealized gains or losses shall be added back or deducted to the extent not already included in adjusted EBITDA. See, I don't know what that means. I don't really understand that. I don't really understand what that means. So is the unrealized gains or losses on investments going to be into the EBITDA? I don't know. I don't know what this means. I mean, if that's the case, I would expect more investment into Bitcoin potentially and maybe other stocks. But I don't really understand what that means. Cumulative performance EBITDA means as of any determination date, the sum of the performance EBITDA for each fiscal quarter the company completed from, and including the fiscal quarter that begins on February 1st, 2026, through and including the most recently completed fiscal quarter for which the company has reported financial results in an earnings release furnished. So the sum of, okay. So it's almost just like the market cap thing. It's the sum of every quarter. Or, the market cap's the sum of the market cap for 60 days, but the EBITDA is the sum of the EBITDA of every quarter, I believe. So if they do 500 million EBITDA every quarter, you'll get that first tranche. It's not the average, it's the sum. Performance EBITDA and cumulative performance EBITDA shall be calculated and applied in a manner consistent from period to period. No amendment, modification, reinterpretation, reclassification, or other change to the performance EBITDA definition shall apply for purposes of this agreement without the participants' prior written consent. To the extent the change in GAAP affects the calculation of performance EBITDA, the award shall be amended to preserve the original economic intent to performance EBITDA as of the grant date. By manner consistent. To the extent a change in GAAP affects the calculation of EBITDA, the award shall be amended to preserve the original economic intent of performance EBITDA. If the company does not publicly report performance EBITDA for any fiscal quarter, the company shall provide the participant and the committee with a written calculation of performance EBITDA for such fiscal quarter. Within 15 days of the following public release of the company's financial results for such fiscal quarter. I don't think they do report the EBITDA. I see a lot of posts on like Reddit and shit about EBITDA, but I don't think GameStop themselves have ever posted their actual EBITDA, from what I know. Determination of vesting upon change of control. Notwithstanding, in the event of change of control, the cumulative performance EBITDA hurdle shall be disregarded, and the committee shall assess, in accordance with the below, an extent to which any previously unsatisfied market cap hurdles will be satisfied as a result of the change of control, and the number of options that are earned and eligible to vest on account of the change of control. To the extent the options allocated to a tranche have not been earned and vested as of immediately before the effective time of the change of control, and do not become eligible to be earned and eligible vest as a result of the change of control as described herein, such tranche shall be forfeited automatically as effective time of the change of control. In the event of change of control, market cap shall equal the product of the total number of outstanding shares immediately prior to the effective time of such change of control, as reported by the company's transfer agent, and be the greater of the most recent closing price per share immediately prior to the effective time of such change of control, as reported by the primary exchange. The per share price consideration and determination received by the company's stockholders in change control. Market cap shall equal the product and the total number of outstanding shares immediately prior to the effective. See, I don't get that. Some of this stuff I don't really understand. Milestone adjustment in event. Performance hurdles will be adjusted by committee. Equitability and proportionally is determined by the committee in a manner designed to preserve the economic opportunity provided under the award. Higher to account for acquisition activity for which the stock is provided as consideration. B, lower the account for a split up, spin off dividend or other distribution or divestiture activity. In each case, that would be considered material to the achievement of the performance hurdles as applicable. What's that, Ruben? What's that, Ruben? Hope you're doing good. Vesting. Generally subject to Section 3 of this grant notice and terms and condition below. Options shall vest and become exercisable on the applicable vesting date, or if earlier in change of control, subject to the participant continuing an eligible service through such date, except as provided under Section 3, the participant ceases eligibility service for any reason, then any portion of this award that has not been vested by the date the participant ceases eligible service will be forfeited automatically as of such date and never become invested. For the avoidance of doubt, the purpose of Section 3, participant cessation of eligible service after the applicable vesting date, but before certification in connection therewith shall not result in forfeiture of such vested portion of the award. For purposes of vesting on a change of control, the requirement that the participant remain in eligible service through the change of control shall be deemed satisfied if the participant's eligible service terminated in the good leaver termination that occurred no more than 6 months prior to the change of control. For the purpose of this agreement, vesting date means the last day of the fiscal quarter during the final performance hurdle for the applicable tranches was achieved. Last day of fiscal quarter during the final performance hurdle for the applicable tranche. Huh. Interesting. Termination without cause, disability, death, or resignation for good reason. Notwithstanding Section 3 above in section to this Section 3, if the company terminates the participant's eligible service without cause, the participant's eligible service terminates due to disability or death, or the participant resigns for good reason, good leaver termination, then each tranche for which, as of the applicable determination date, 1. The market cap determined as the day immediately before the date of the good leaver termination has exceeded the sum of the immediately preceding tranche market cap hurdle plus 8 billion. Wait. Sum and immediately preceding tranche's market cap hurdle plus 8 billion. 2. The cumulative performance EBITDA has exceeded 80% of the applicable tranche's cumulative performance EBITDA. Hurdle shall be deemed achieved tranche and collectively deemed achieved tranche. The option allocated to each deemed achieved tranche shall immediately vest and become exercisable as of the date of the good leaver termination, provided that any such option that have not vested prior to or in connection with the good leaver termination shall remain outstanding for 6 months following the good leaver termination and be eligible to be earned and vest in accordance with the last sentence of Section 3, and subject to Section 1C, and if not vested in accordance therewith shall be forfeited automatically as the date of 6-month anniversary of the good leaver termination date. For example, assume that none of the tranches have been earned and eligible to vest prior to the participant's good leaver termination, and at the time of such good leaver termination, the market cap is determined to exceed 38 billion, and cumulative performance EBITDA is determined to exceed 3.2 billion. Tranches 1, 2, and 3 will be deemed achieved tranches while, if such market cap is determined to be 32 billion, and the cumulative performance EBITDA is determined to exceed 3.2 billion, only tranches 1 and 2 will be deemed achieved tranches. Okay. That makes more sense. I'm glad they added that example. Committee shall determine, approve. I mean, that's kind of what I thought, but I'm glad they added the example. Committee shall determine, approve, and certify to the extent to which any deemed achieved tranches have been achieved as soon as reasonably practicable. The vesting options allocated to a deemed achieved tranche shall be conditioned upon the participants' execution, delivery, and non-revocation of a release of claims in favor of the company and its affiliates in form attached to Exhibit B, then 60 days following good leaver termination. The release shall release only claims relating to the participant's employment or termination of employment, and shall not include claims held by the participant in the participant's capacity as a stockholder. And 2, not release any right to indemnification, advancement of expenses, or coverage under any directors' and officers' insurance policies. If the release does not become effective with such 60-day period, then no deemed achieved tranches shall be deemed achieved for purposes of this subsection. Being understood, any option vested as good leaver termination shall remain exercisable in accordance with Section 4. Didn't I say I wasn't going to read all of this? Pretty sure I said I wasn't going to read all this. And now I'm reading all of it. Really cool. Really cool. Cause means anyone following participants willful. I don't know if we need. I don't know if we need to read any of this. Maybe we'll go back up here. I just want to see what else is there. Just a bunch of definitions, it looks like. I don't know if we need to read any of these definitions or not. I don't know how important they are. What time is it? Still got a little bit. Maybe we'll come back and read this in a sec. I want to see if there's anything else to talk about before I start reading a bunch of definitions that may or may not really matter. I lost my spot, though. I think it's here. Okay. Let's see what else we got. No news release. What is this 8K for? I forgot. Oh, that's when they first announced the performance award, I think. So, we don't need that. I don't think there's anything else here. Yeah, I wanted to read about this. I don't know why. It just seems interesting. Are You Dead? App designed for people living alone surges to #1 in China. Launched in May 25, the app requires users to check in every 2 days by tapping a large on-screen button to confirm they're alive. If they fail to do so, the app automatically alerts a chosen emergency contact that something may be wrong. Surge comes as solo living rises, with figures showing China could have up to 200 million one-person households by 2030. The app markets itself as a safety companion for people living alone, students away from home, those choosing a solitary lifestyle. On Chinese social media, one user wrote, "There's a fear that people living alone might die unnoticed. Who would collect my body?" Another said the app could be useful for introverts, people with depression, and other vulnerable situations. I worry that if something happened to me, I could die alone in the place I rent. No one would know. Some users have criticized the name for being too grim. App is listed as Demamu and ranks among the top paid utility apps in the US, Singapore, Hong Kong. Damn, this is in the US. Hong Kong, Australia, Spain, potentially driven by Chinese users overseas. Costs 8 won, approximately $1.15. Founders, 3 people, say the app costs around 1,000 yuan or less than $150 to create. Wow. One founder told Chinese media they plan to sell 10% of the company for 1 million yuan and are exploring versions aimed at elderly users. Yeah, that is pretty sad. Only $150 to make that app, though? That's wild. That's actually insane. McDonald's breakfast item? What trash are they bringing? McGriddle coming to UK McDonald's. Horror game goes viral with WWE wrestling finishers as wait, what? What? Wait, you like Jackass? I saw they're bringing back Fear Factor? Wait, what? Really? Fear Factor? No, they're bringing back Fear Factor? That's sick. Johnny Knoxville's Fear Factor. Wait, this is tonight? I don't have Fox. But that's awesome. I would love to watch this. Fear Factor was epic. Fear Factor was a good show. Fear Factor House of Fear, immediately following tonight's game. 9 p.m. on Wednesday, starting 21st. Damn, I want to watch this. I just don't have Fox. 14 total strangers move into the Fear House with 200,000 on the line. Must confront their biggest terrors. Yep. Huh. That's cool. That's cool. Thanks for bringing that in here. I didn't know that. I didn't even see anything on that. I would love to watch this. I just don't have Fox. I've been watching Beast Games 2. That's really good. Beast Games 2 is pretty good so far. Beast Games 1 was obviously, you know, much better, but Beast Games 2 is pretty decent. But I'll have to figure out a way to watch Fear Factor. That could be cool. That could be cool. Joe Rogan's Fear Factor. Joe Rogan! Joe Rogan. Let's see. Brand new horror game has become major talking point in the gaming community after revealing that you can take down monsters using epic WWE wrestling finishers. Horror games are meant to be scary, and one of the best ways developers do that is by making your character seem powerless, weak, or just completely out of their depth. Sure, there's the odd jump scare or twisted cutscene like Silent Hill, but powerlessness is the major point. Till you meet this new indie game, Welcome to Doll Town, where you play as Yumi, a student who gets a job as a convenience store. During this, she discovers cursed dolls, plenty of deaths, and tons of monsters. However, despite her young looks and unexpected turn of events, she's far from powerless. In fact, she's able to perform hilarious WWE finishers. The gameplay showcased Yumi decimating what looks like a haunted doll. Punching it, finally, she takes a WWE finisher, slamming the enemy to the ground. Post quickly went viral, with many asking the developers to add more finishers. Others already seem convinced, commenting, I'm in, that's all it needs to be, blah, blah, blah. Alright, let's see this video.
Watch carefully. Steele steps in the ring. Braun Strowman with seat on his shoulders.
Oh shit, the tombstone!
He does!
Oh, that was a fucking pile driver. Why can't I think of what that's called? For some reason I can't think of what that move's called. Power bomb? I think it's called a power bomb. Ding 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 ding. That was pretty funny. Fucking hits the doll with a power bomb. That was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome. Driverless delivery vans in China go viral for all the wrong reasons. Clips showing driverless delivery vans in China pushing through roadworks, rough streets, and traffic obstacles have gone viral, turning autonomous vehicles into a meme. The videos show multiple examples of unmanned vans getting stuck on broken roads, driving straight through fresh concrete, struggling over uneven surfaces, and even continuing to move with a motorcycle lodged under the wheel. Jeez. Vehicle appears to keep driving despite obstruction. Footage has been widely shared on social media, with captions joking that nothing stops them, as users point out the van's apparent inability to react to unexpected situations. Music. Dude, that thing's ripping. What do you mean? That thing is ripping. Yeah. So yeah, autonomous cars are just going where no man will go. Look at them. They're just going where nobody else will go. He got out and kicked it. That was funny. He fucking kicked it. Oh, that was awesome. What the fuck? Bro, these things are awesome. What do you mean? That was awesome. GME taking? Yeah, you're at the pivot. To be expected. If you can't make new highs on a pivot, you sell off. I don't even need to look at the chart to know what's about to happen. Vehicles seen in the clips are part of Chinese rapidly expanding autonomous delivery network. Major logistics company have been rolling out self-driving vans in cities and rural areas as part of efforts to automate last-mile delivery. Chinese courier firms, including ZTO Express and JNT Express, have deployed thousands of driverless delivery vehicles over the past 2 years. These vans are typically used on fixed routes between delivery hubs and neighborhood drop-off points, often traveling at low speeds and monitored remotely by human operators. Most of the vehicles rely on cameras, radar, and pre-mapped routes rather than full self-driving systems. Operators can intervene remotely if the van encounters an issue, though the viral clips suggest some situations still result in errors or delays. China has encouraged autonomous delivery as part of broader logistic automation, particularly in areas facing labor shortages or high delivery demand. Clips circulating online were not accompanied by official statements from the companies operating the vehicles, and it remains unclear whether the incident caused damage or required manual recovery. Now, I get autonomous vehicles, but shouldn't there be someone like, monitoring the autonomous vehicle? Like, shouldn't there be a guy on a computer somewhere with like a few different cameras of a few different vehicles and like, I don't know. YouTube videos 140 years long? What? Blank YouTube videos or ridiculous length appears everywhere. What? Shiny WR. When you click on the video, it actually appears 12 hours long. Why is there 140? I'm gonna spare a little fame off YouTube. What the fuck? Is that real? It is. What? It's actually real. But now there's a bunch of channels that have uploaded similar videos. Someone has a live stream going. I think they took the video down. That's fucking odd, bro. That's fucking odd. There's a Ryan Cohen tweet. I'll check it out. What do we got? That's a lot of video games to sell. That's a lot of video games to sell. Oh my god. That's funny. That is a good tweet. That is a lot of video games to sell. That's pretty funny. That's a reply though. It's not an actual tweet. Well, I mean it's a tweet, but it's a reply. A lot of video games to sell. That's pretty funny. Oh, it's a comment. Okay. Is Ryan Cohen gonna ratio fucking IGN? That would be funny. What if Ryan Cohen ratios these guys? That'd be pretty interesting. Huh. Hey, look, Rosh reposted it. Where is Rosh these days? He's obviously on Twitter. Okay. What else is there to talk about here? That is a lot of video games to sell. Ooh. Fable 4 reportedly set for surprise day 1 release on PS5. What? Fable 4 will reportedly not only be released on both Xbox and PlayStation, but will arrive on the same day on both consoles. I didn't even know they were coming out with a Fable 4. While discussing Microsoft's upcoming Developer Direct in January 9th edition of its podcast, VGC's Andy Robinson responded to a question about Microsoft's wider multi-platform strategy. That included talk regarding whether the upcoming fourth Fable and Forza Horizon 6 would see simultaneous release on both consoles. Whether Fable could match Xbox's launch day and date on PS5. Fable is day and date. That's what I've been told. I imagine it's day and date. Continue. I don't know what that means. This is where insiders misstep. Those are sort of details that can be changed at a week or a day before. Yes, it's coming to PS5. Racing sequel wouldn't be getting the same treatment. Fable's currently in development at Playground Games. Okay. I didn't even know Fable 4 was coming out. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Not like I'll play it, but kind of cool still. Anthem now permanently unplayable as servers go offline after 7 years. Anthem is now officially dead. Game servers were taken down January 12th, marking an end to BioWare's troubled online game. EA's Anthem hit store shelves on February 22nd, 2019. Damn, that's not very long. Only 7 years, about? I feel like that's not very long. Launching across PC, PS4, and Xbox One, coming from BioWare, the acclaimed developer behind Mass Effect, Dragon Age, 2 Baldur's Gate games. Online third-person looter shooter struggled out the gate. However, with limited content, a punishing grind, and an uninspired story, it quickly floundered. Now just shy of 7 years from its turbulent release, Anthem's story is drawn to a close. Servers have officially been switched offline, meaning the game is no longer playable. Hot on the heels of its troubled launch, BioWare assured fans it had intentions to reinvent the core gameplay loop with clear goals, motivating challenges, and progression with meaningful rewards. That blog post update came in February 2020. A year later, by February 2021, all work on the game had come to a screeching halt. On July 3rd, 2025, EA issued one final update on the status of Anthem. Sales of in-game currency were halted, and it was announced that the game's final day would be January 12th. Now we're here, and servers have indeed been switched off, meaning Anthem's no longer accessible. Much like Concord, X Defiant, and Multiverses, Anthem can no longer be played in any capacity. There's no single-player or offline component, thus the entire experience is now locked away for good. Damn, imagine if you spent like $60 on that game. That'd be kind of annoying. No refunds are being issued, given the game was available for almost 7 years and often sold at a considerable discount. As for what comes next for BioWare, the team is pivoting back to Mass Effect, seemingly continuing the mainline story after the offshoot Andromeda was met with mixed reception in 2017. There's no word on when the new Mass Effect game might be ready. Devs are only knuckling down after years of work. 2024's controversial Dragon Age Veilguard. And there's a lot of news. A lot of news. Arc Raiders clamps down on cheaters with ban waves. Players say it's not enough. Palworld is getting its own trading card game. Palworld's officially making the jump from survival sandbox to tabletop. New trading card game launching on July 30th, 2026. According to the details shared on the game's official website, the Palworld TCG is designed as a 2-player competitive card game built around the same core ideas that made the creature collecting survival game so popular. Players will be able to deploy different pals, use their unique traits, gather resources, and build bases as they battle toward victory. Rather than being a simple reskin, The card game is structured to mirror Palworld's mix of creature collecting, base management, and tactical combat. Each PAL brings its own abilities to the table, allowing players to create different strategies depending on which companions they put into play. Release states that players will fight alongside their PAL companions while facing off against opponents, with matches focused on strategic and tactical battles that reward smart deployment and synergy between cards. Team up with your trusty pals and experience the thrill of overcoming formidable enemies through this exciting trading card game. While no pricing, card lists, or starter deck details have been revealed, Palworld card game will release on July 30th, 2026, so fans won't have to wait much longer. We have a video? Oh, music. Music! Well, I mean, that was a reveal of the card, wasn't it? Oh, there's no details on it. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. What is this? A Stranger Things documentary? I won't read this because this is there's a lot of spoilers, but I'll read that on my own time. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched that trash season yet. 5K luxury smartphone with AI assistant. Feature failed to meet expectations. Oh, he probably has a video for it. I ain't gonna read about that. I'll just watch the video. YouTuber uncovers Coca-Cola's secret formula. Meatball, spaghetti on the meat. Ravioli. Give me the formioli. Coca-Cola has been around for centuries. Only 2 Coca-Cola employees are ever in the know at any given time. When they die, their chosen successor is then informed, much like KFC's chicken. Then stop YouTuber Lab Coats, the science engineering content creator, has set the internet ablaze with their allegedly perfect recreation of Coca-Cola in just 3 days, accruing 2.6 million views. Where do you even start when tackling a secret recipe? It was an intense year wherein they studied literally every aspect of the drink. Vast majority of the ingredients are indeed listed on the label of any bottle you pick up at your local store. What's unclear, however, is what makes up one particular ingredient on the list, quote, natural flavors. According to YouTubers' research, these natural flavors mostly consist of cocaine-free cocoa extract. And trying to order their own batch in the United States, though, is allegedly seized at the border. This meant they had to start from square one. Lab Coats called on the aid of others in the field to utilize mass spectrometers. These devices were able to split Coca-Cola into individual chemical readings. From there, the YouTuber had a foundation to experiment around, and this led to months of frequently adjusting as they tried to get the recipe right. A eureka breakthrough came after almost a year of struggling, and now the replica recipe is available for the world to use. You'll first need a whole swath of scientific equipment and a range of ingredients, but if you choose to follow along at home, Lab Coats claimed you can easily produce a bulk batch and make cost-effective Coca-Cola at home. In case you're worried about Coca-Cola coming after Lab Coats, as they disclosed in the video, the Coke recipe itself has never been protected by a patent. YouTuber is well within the right to create a replica. Pretty sick, dude. I guess. I don't know. UK and Australia eyeing X ban amid Grok's explicit deepfake scandal. That's pretty cool. I think AI should be banned. I think AI should be banned. Arc Raiders devs promise Expedition improvements after 1 million resets. Nicolas Cage's former Action Comics #1 sells for record-breaking 15 million at auction. Wow. That's crazy. Copy of Action Comics #1, once owned by Nicolas Cage, sold for 15 million, making it the most expensive comic book ever sold. The issue, originally published in 1938 and featuring the first ever appearance of Superman, previously belonged to Cage before it was stolen from his home in 2000. After being recovered more than a decade later, the comic eventually changed hands again after Cage sold the collectible at auction. Action Comics #1 is widely regarded as one of the most historically important comic books ever published, marking the birth of Superman and modern superheroes. Fewer than 100 copies are believed to exist still, with only a small number preserved in good condition. At 15 million, the sale sets a new record for any comic book, not just for Action Comics #1, surpassing the previous record. Copy in question was graded CGC 9, making it one of the best preserved examples known and a major factor behind the massive selling price. Cage, a longtime comic fan who famously took his stage name from Marvel's Luke Cage, bought the issue in 1990s before it was stolen and later recovered in 2011 from a storage locker. Cage sold the comic at auction in 2011 for 2.2 million. The sale reflects not just the rarity of the book, but its unmatched historical importance. Superman's the original superhero, and Action Comics #1 remains the single most iconic comic ever published. A lot of news today. Holy shit. When is there ever this much news? There's like never this much news ever. Several monkeys loose in St. Louis, and authorities have no clue how they got there. Mr. Beast fires back at fake anime fan claims. Football star Neymar Jr. spends $65 million on Batman vehicle, including Batmobile and Batcopter. He bought a jet too. That's sick. What a boss. Bought a helicopter, jet, and the Batmobile. What a real gangster. I mean, he'll be broke in like 10 years, but pretty cool. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a feeling. Just a feeling. He should have bought 65 million worth of GameStop shares. What is he doing? Oh. Burger King's testing a breakfast Whopper. Japanese man arrested for breaking a 137-year-old dueling law in deadly street brawl. When is Beast Game Season 2 Episode 4 going on? I do want to know this. I do want to watch the next episode. I don't think I watched episode 3 though. January 14th? Oh, nice. Oh, they all release. Oh, okay. They'll all be released by the end of February. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. Beast Games is pretty sick. A Bitcoin mining water heater and you can buy it. Is NASDAQ new highs? Nah. Unless it randomly went up like 3-4% the past hour and a half I've been on stream. Nah, the NASDAQ's not at new highs. That's the only thing that's not at new highs. But tech's been selling off a lot. Superheat H1 is positioned as the world's first water heater designed to generate financial return by mining Bitcoin. System uses the same power as conventional electric water heaters, but repurposes processor heat that would otherwise be wasted. H1 replaces traditional resistive heating elements with processors that perform high-value computing tasks, including Bitcoin mining. The heat generated by those processors is captured and used to heat water, allowing the unit to deliver hot water while simultaneously earning Bitcoin. Company says system heats water at the same efficiency as a typical electric water heater without requiring additional energy. Instead of venting heat, the H1 channels it through a dedicated thermal pathway to maintain consistent water temperatures while keeping the computing hardware operational. Mining generates heat whether you use it or not. For years, the heat has been discarded. The H1 puts it to work. If you're already using energy to produce hot water, same power can also strengthen the Bitcoin network. Superheat claims the H1 can generate ongoing Bitcoin rewards during normal daily use. With earnings tracked and managed through its software platform, users can monitor mining performance, energy usage, and withdrawals through a mobile app, while commercial installation can be managed through a centralized web console. Why is there always music? Oh, so stupid. Oh. H1's designed for residential homes, multi-unit buildings, and commercial facilities, with both consumers and business versions planned. Superheat says the system is built to match the cost and power consumption of conventional water heaters, while introducing a new revenue component tied directly to Bitcoin mining. Looking ahead, the company says future versions of its platform will also support distributed AI training and cloud computing workloads. Whoa, that's actually interesting to think about. That's kind of interesting to think about. Expanding beyond Bitcoin mining and forming a network of heat-powered micro data centers embedded within buildings. Yeah. That is pretty interesting. This is just one of the hundreds of new products announced at CES 26. Yep. What else? The website won't load, so that might be. I don't know what just happened to that website. Just clapped out. Let's see. Let's see if we can get back there. I think there's like a couple more articles, but I don't remember. Giant bear removed from a house after homeowner threatened lawsuit. Well, does this guy have a pet bear or some shit? Homeowner Kenneth Johnson has had a 550-pound black bear living underneath his home since Thanksgiving and couldn't be coaxed out or moved elsewhere. Johnson threatened legal action against the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and claiming negligence and emotional distress after the state failed to remove the black bear. Oh, okay. I see. There's a video? Dude, that would be terrifying. Having a bear living under your house? That would be actually terrifying. It's stuck. It's stuck. Oh, no, it's out. Bro, I'd be tripping.
Story since the very beginning. For over a month, homeowner Ken Johnson tried everything to get the bear out himself.
You fucking dipped, son. Bro, that would be so scary. Fuck that. Oh yeah, I saw this. This shit's fucking crazy. Age-verified Roblox accounts are already being sold on eBay. That is fucking... Pedos will stop at nothing. Pedos will literally stop at nothing. Well, I mean, it's probably for kids, but still. That's fucking crazy. Roblox facial age verification rules have landed globally, requiring every player to prove their age before being able to chat in the platform's various games, but some are taking the matter into their own hands. Following the controversy regarding Roblox's handling of child safety across its games, the platform has made a key change to all accounts. Now they require users to submit their ID if they're over 13, or send over a facial scan, which estimates their ages. Oh, okay, so it's not even... Wow. So it is literally pedos. This then places you in a certain group depending on your age to ensure users are speaking to players in their age bracket. Shortly after the announcement and rollout, some fans began kicking back at the implementation, with some even creating age-verified Roblox accounts and selling them on eBay. As seen throughout X and eBay itself, various listings have appeared selling age-verified accounts, complete with location, of course, the age of the user. What this does is let you sign into the account without having to use any ID or facial scan, voiding the new feature Roblox added. Listings range from $4.45 to over $8, each with various age brackets. One is even going for over $100, coming with a verified age and tons of Robux. It's worth noting, however, that Roblox has explained that they are constantly evaluating user behavior to determine if someone is significantly older or younger than expected in these situations. We'll soon begin asking users to repeat the age check process. So purchasing these is not advised and could get your account banned or asked to revalidate your age once again. It's fucking insane, dude. Insane. AI Fridge and Virtual Friend voted worst in show at CES. That Virtual Friend, that stupid like pod thing. Yeah, the AI me. That is pretty dumb. No, I forgot to open a new tab. Now I gotta scroll all the way back down. And the website is lagging. So it's not very ideal. I'm in news like 3 days ago. If you guys, I don't really look at news and stuff during the weekend. I really don't. Grok AI image editing gets limited to pay to X users after deepfake backlash. Xbox Developer Direct? What's that? Tons of gameplay, news trailers. January 22nd. Oh, it's at night, so we're not going to watch that on stream, unfortunately. What the fuck? Disney Plus to introduce TikTok-style vertical videos in 2026. Oh yeah, I wanted to read about that too. That sounds weird. Disney Plus is gearing up to introduce vertical videos on the subscription platform in 26. Employed a younger generation with shorter attention spans. Wait, so they're just making people dumber. That's what when I read that, I'm like, oh, they just want people to be even dumber than they are, or lower attention span, whatever you want to call it. Very weird. While Disney Plus today houses the likes of Star Wars and The Incredibles, it could soon host your favorite TikTokers too. Announced on January 7th. Oh, so they're going to make their... Okay, that's actually kind of insane. They're going to make their own, like, social media platform, it seems like. Announced January 7th, 26. Disney Plus is preparing to implement vertical video later this year. This means not only will you find the existing traditional content, but also a range of shorter material designed for digestion primarily on mobile devices. As EVP of Product Management, Aaron Teague puts it when speaking with Deadline, Gen Z and Gen Alpha are not necessarily thinking about sitting down, watching long-form, 2.5-hour piece of content on their phone. That's a good point. That's a good point. Most people can't even watch, like, fucking 5 minutes. If that. Disney Plus introducing vertical videos to capture younger generation. There's no quite... Wait, isn't Disney, like, already promoted towards the younger generation? But now they just know that the younger generation can't even sit through a fucking hour-and-a-half movie. Crazy. There's no quite telling exactly... It's going to be wild when they have a feature where you can watch a movie and then down in the bottom you can scroll. Like, I feel like that's where this is going. You're going to be watching fucking Cars and then having some fucking TikToker dancing in the bottom corner. It's literally just like... It's like those... What is that one game called? Subway Surfer? It's like those weird videos where it's like Subway Surfer and then someone talking or something. It's literally going to turn into that. There's no quite telling exactly when vertical videos will start appearing on Disney Plus, nor the exact form they might take. However, we do know the plan isn't to merely promote long-form content in this vertical format. So don't expect to only see trailers for a new show or clips from a new film when swiping through vertical videos, but rather Disney is considering all manner of distinct content for the new format. I wonder if you'd be able to make content on Disney Plus at that point. Everything's on the table. This could span dedicated short-form content designed just for the mobile experience, highlights from your favorite shows edited down into bite-sized clips. We'll look to evolve the experience over time. Disney's announcement declared the goal is to explore its use in a variety of ways across categories and content types for a personalized and dynamic feed. This also opens the door for expansion in new categories like news and entertainment, turning Disney Plus into a must-visit daily destination. Still early days yet, but Disney clearly has its sights set on capturing a younger audience. TikTok-coded audience. Given TikTok reportedly has over 1.5 billion monthly active users, it's no surprise why. However, it certainly has its downsides, as studies have shown the negative rotting effects of bite-sized content consumption. Yeah, fuck, I've seen it in real time, bro. I've seen it in real life. It's like, I don't know, man. I've watched a lot of short content, but I couldn't do it the way a lot of people do. I really couldn't. I couldn't fucking sit there. I just don't get it, bro. I just don't understand. I just don't understand fucking wanting to watch that, like, brain rot trash. Besides that, it's addictive, you know? Besides the addictive aspect, you know, I get that, but I would never want to watch it. Or at least scroll the way a lot of people do. Nintendo reveals first new Switch 2 Joy-Cons. Fans aren't thrilled. Red Dead Redemption 2 dev shares insider info on the game's final mysterious secret. I think I've read the rest of this stuff. Yeah, I think we looked at all this stuff last time I streamed. What? Mattel releases autistic Barbie with hand flapping, stimming action, fidget spinner, and more. No! What is this world, bro? Does the fidget spinner actually work, though? Mattel has unveiled its first ever autistic Barbie with stimming hands, a tablet, fidget spinner, and other features associated with neurodivergence. Developed in a partnership with U.S. charity, the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, the autistic Barbie took more than 18 months to create and reflects some of the ways autistic children experience and communicate with the world. What about Michael Burry? Michael Burry's autistic, and I really doubt he plays with a fidget spinner. I really doubt he's playing with a fidget spinner. Barbie has always strived to reflect the world's kids see and the possibilities they imagine, and we're proud to introduce our first autistic Barbie as part of the ongoing work. The doll design with guidance from the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network helps to expand what inclusion looks like in the toy aisle and beyond, because every child deserves to see themselves in Barbie. New autistic Barbie comes with neurodivergent features. There are several immediate factors that showcase the doll's autistic side, including how her gaze is shifted slightly to side to mimic how autistic people avoid eye contact. The Barbie has articulated elbows and wrists to allow for stimming, hand flapping, and other gestures that can express excitement. What about Michael Burry? Like, I don't like, I don't know. I don't know enough about this topic to really have an opinion on it, but I feel like autistic kids are generally like pretty smart. And this kind of like makes me feel like they're trying to portray autistic kids as like something else. Each figure is packaged with pink finger clip fidget spinner, a pair of noise-canceling headphones, and tablet accessory. Tablet displays a simple symbol-based augmentative and alternative communication interface designed to support daily communication needs. Finally, the doll is dressed in a relaxed purple pinstripe, a lined dress with short sleeves and a flowing skirt designed to reduce fabric content against the skin. The look is finished with purple flat shoes, offering added stability and comfortable movement. We engage with the autistic community throughout the design process, always mindful that autism is experienced differently by every individual and is not always visible. Well, any Barbie could theoretically be autistic because autism doesn't have a look. She emphasized that representation is powerful. What? The fidget spinner barely spins. I don't understand. I don't understand. Every day that goes by, I feel like I'm losing like connection with the world. I feel like the world's like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm just like not even here. I just feel like I'm not even here. I feel like the world's not even real. Oh yeah, I wanted to read about this. New discovered mystery in Red Dead 2 could finally hold the key to solving one of Rockstar's longest-running unsolved puzzles, Mount Chiliad Mystery. More than 12 years, GTA 5 players have attempted to decode the meaning of Mount Chiliad's mural, a cryptic wall carving hidden inside a cable car station atop the mountain. Despite countless theories involving UFOs, eggs, jetpacks, and secret triggers, no explanation has ever been definitely confirmed by Rockstar. Now new findings suggest the answer may never have been confined to GTA 5 alone. In recent breakdown, mystery-focused YouTuber Oddheader reported that the newly uncovered Spider Dream mystery in Red Dead 2 appears to directly mirror unexplained assets that have existed around Mount Chiliad since GTA 5 launched in 2013. Oddheader pointed out that GTA 5 contains 2 unusual spider webs located on Mount Chiliad that only appear between 1 and 2 a.m. One of those webs sit directly beneath the cable car station that houses the Chiliad mural itself. Despite appearing unfinished, the webs have remained untouched for more than a decade, even as Rockstar patched or removed other environmental elements over time. What makes the connection more compelling is how those webs were created. Data miners have found that both GTA 5 and Red Dead 2 use the same cable shader to render the spider webs, meaning Rockstar intentionally recreated the effect across 2 different games released 5 years apart. According to Oddheader, this undermines the long-standing belief that the webs were simply abandoned or unfinished assets. The Spider Dream mystery in Red Dead 2 expands on that idea. Players recently discovered 8 spider webs across the RDR2 map. They only appear during narrow nighttime windows. Each web features a shootable feather labeled Spider Dream in the game's file, and all of them appear to be mapped out by a carved spider symbol on the nearby telephone pole. At the center of those locations, player found a unique web that appears earlier than the others and aligns with nearby telephone poles to form directional markings. Following those clues has led to carvings regarding W and NW, though the trail is halted as search continues for whatever guitar NW means. Rockstar has quietly linked mysteries across games before. Strange numbers sequence first discovered in Red Dead 2 later reappeared in GTA Online through the Madame Nazar arcade machine, which includes a fortune referencing a tangled web that remains unsolved after years of unraveling. Taken together, players now believe Rockstar may have designed the Mount Chiliad mystery as part of a broader multi-game puzzle, rather than something meant to be solved entirely within GTA 5. With a former Rockstar QA tester recently confirming they never expected players to uncover the Spider Dream mystery at all, speculation continues to grow that Red Dead Redemption 2 provides crucial context that was missing all along. Okay. Oh, man. Anything else? We might have to go back to that GameStop thing. Didn't you say GameStop was tanking? I guess our definition of tanking is also different. Because that is not tanking. That's just going back to the price you were at literally a week ago. I don't think that's tanking. When it's selling off below $20, $19, then we can talk about tanking. But going back to a price you were at a week ago, that's not tanking. They should just offer custom-made Barbies series to not offend anyone. Might as well. I guess I just don't know enough about autism, but I just don't get that. Like, I don't know. You shouldn't be like representing autist kids. I don't know how to say it properly. You shouldn't be representing kids with autism as just fucking iPad kids with fidget spinners. Like, that's not even reality. That's not even real. Like, they're just normal fucking kids most of the time. So I just don't get it. They're not just iPad kids. Like, if autism means you're an iPad kid with a fidget spinner, literally every kid I know is an autist. Because majority of the kids I've met in my life, you know, from people I know that have had kids, their kids live on a fucking iPad. So you're telling me like every kid in this world's an autist? That's just not reality. It's just not reality. It just doesn't seem like a good representation. But what do I know? What do I know? I guess I'll go back to reading this for the next 30 minutes. Cause means any of the following: the participant's willful refusal to perform the participant's duties to the company or the lawful direction of the board. 2, participant's willful misconduct, whether or not in the performance of the participant's duties to the company, which results in material damage to the business or reputation of the company or any of its affiliates or subsidiaries. 3, the participant's material breach of any agreement with policy of or duty owed to the company and any of its affiliates or subsidiary. I really don't want to read all these definitions, dude. Whatever, I'll read it. Reputation, affiliates, provided, however, an act of omission described in this clause will constitute cause only if it is not cured to the reasonable satisfaction of the board or its delegate following a reasonable opportunity to cure the following written notice by the company. Or 4, the participant's conviction of or plea of nolo contendere to a crime involving fraud, dishonesty, or misappropriation, which results in material damage to the business or reputation of the company or any of its affiliates or subsidiaries. For purposes of this definition, no act, failure to act, or omission on the participant's part shall be considered willful unless done or omitted to be done by the participant in bad faith and without reasonable belief that such act or omission was in or not opposed to the best interest of the company. A termination due to the participant's death or disability will not constitute a termination for cause. Disability means medically determinable physical or mental impairment that would entitle the participant to income replacement benefits under any long-term disability plan maintained or sponsored by the company. Good reason means the occurrence of any of the following events with the participant's prior written consent, the assignment to the participant of duties that results in a substantial diminution of the duties that the participant assumed on the grant date. 2, the assignment to the participant of a title that is different from the participant's current title as executive chairman, or that is different from the subordinate to the title of executive chairman of the company. No case shall failure participant to be re-elected to the board constitute good reason. 3, any requirement the participant relocate the participant's primary residence. Participant must provide written notice to the company of the existence of the circumstances, providing grounds for termination for good reason. Within 30 days, the initial existence of such grounds, and the company will have 60 days from the date of which such notice is provided to cure such circumstances. If such circumstances remain uncured, and the participant does not terminate employment for good reason within 30 days, after the end of the cure period, then the participant will be deemed to have waived the right to terminate for good reason with respects to such grounds. Expiration of the term, no later than the expiration date, and with respect to any options that have not then been earned and vested, committee shall promptly assess whether the performance hurdles in Section 1B of this grant notice have been satisfied as the termination date that coincides with or immediately precedes the expiration date, and provide a certification in respect to the same effective as of the day prior to the last day of the term as soon as reasonably practicable. Any tranches for which both performance hurdles have not been achieved during the term will be forfeited automatically as of the expiration date and never shall become vested. Yep, we already know that. I don't even know why I'm reading this. Alright. Expiration of options. The options shall terminate and no longer be exercisable on the expiration date, or if earlier, as provided in this Section 4, For the avoidance of doubt, no options which have vested may be exercised after the expiration date. Oh, that's good to know. Good leaver termination. If the participant's eligible service is terminated as a result of good leaver termination, the participant may exercise options which have vested until the earlier of 18 months following the termination of the participant's eligible service or the expiration date. Exercise options which have vested under the earlier of 1 to 18 months following the termination of the participant's eligible service. Okay. Termination for cause. If the participant's eligible service is terminated by the company for cause, the participant may exercise options which have vested until the earlier of 1 to 90 days following the termination of the participant's eligible service or to the expiration date. Resignation by participants without good reason. If the participant resigns without good reason, participant may exercise options which have vested until the earlier of 1 to 6 months following the termination of the participant's eligible service. Oh, it's not 1 to, okay. 6 months following the termination of the participant's eligible service or to the expiration date. No stockholder rights. Neither the participant nor any person claiming under or through the participant shall have any rights of stockholder of the company in respect of any shares deliverable hereunder, including any right to vote or receive dividends or distributions, whether in cash or in kind, unless and until such options have been exercised and certificates representing such shares will have been issued. Wait, so neither the participant nor any person claiming under or through the participant shall have any of the rights of stockholder of the company in respect of any shares deliverable hereunder, including any right to vote or receive dividends or distributions, unless and until such options have been exercised and certificates representing such shares will have been issued, recorded on the records of the company or its transfer agent or registrars, and delivered to participant. After such issuance, recordation, and delivery, the participant will have the rights of a stockholder of the company with respect to voting such shares and receipts of dividends and distributions on such shares. What's up, Varley? What's up, Varley? Hope you're doing good. Hope you had a good weekend. Holding period. During the participant's lifetime, except as required to satisfy taxes due in respect to the exercise of options which have vested under this award, or otherwise required as part of change in control, participant shall not sell or dispose of shares acquired upon exercise of the options until after 2 years. Yep. However, the participant may conduct transactions that involve merely a change in the form in which the participant owns such shares, transfer shares to an inter vivos trust for which participants is the beneficiary during participant's lifetime, or as may be permitted by the committee in a discretion consistent with the company's internal policies. For the avoidance of doubt, the requirement of this Section 4 will continue following any termination of the participant's employment. Limited pledging. Prior to the expiration of the holding period described in Section 4 above, company agrees that solely, that might be Section 6, I don't know. Company agrees that solely in order to satisfy any taxes due in respect to the exercise of options which have vested, participant may pledge shares to be received in connection with the exercise of the options. Otherwise, pledging of shares received in connection with the exercise of options is not allowed prior to the expiration of the holding period under any circumstance except as expressly permitted by the committee. At the expiration of the holding period described in section whatever above, the participant may pledge shares acquired upon exercise of the options in accordance with the company's then applicable policies. Failure to obtain stockholder approval. In the event the company's stockholders do not approve the award within 12 months following the grant date, or B, vote upon the award at any meeting of the company's stockholders and do not approve the award by the requisite vote, in each case in accordance with the applicable rules of the New York Stock Exchange, The award automatically be forfeited as of such date, and the participant shall have no further rights to the award. The option or any shares underlying the options, in no event may the options or any portion thereof be exercised, or any shares be issued upon exercise, before the company's stockholders approve the award, notwithstanding any vesting of all the portion of the options prior to such stockholder approval. Okay. That's good to know. So if they don't get the vote this time, you could potentially vote on it again. I guess that's what that's saying. Additional definitions. Man, there's a lot. There's a lot. Affiliate means any entity that is directly or indirectly is controlled by, controls, or under common control with the company, or in which the company has a significant equity interest. In either case is determined by the board, provided blah, blah, blah. Changing control means changing ownership of the company. Code shall mean the Internal Revenue Code, 1986. Director shall be any member of the board. Exchange Act means Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Additional, this could be important. Additional conditions to issuance of stock. If at any time the company will determine in its discretion that the listing, registration, qualification, or rule compliance of the shares upon any securities exchange or under any state, federal, or non-U.S. law, the tax code and related regulations, or under the rulings of regulations of the SEC, or any other governmental regulatory body, or the clearance, consent, or approval of the SEC, or any other governmental regulatory authority, is necessary or desirable as a condition to the purchase by or issuance of shares to participant hereunder, such purchase or issuance will not occur until such issuance requirements will have been completed, effected, or obtained, free of any conditions not acceptable to the company. Shares will not be issued pursuant to the exercise of the options, unless the exercise of the options and the issuance and delivery of such shares will comply with applicable law, and to the extent the company determines to be appropriate, will be further subject to the approval of counsel for the company with respect to such compliance. Subject to the term of the award, the company shall not be required to issue the certificate or certificates for shares hereunder prior to the lapse of such reasonable period of time following the date of exercise of options, as the committee may establish from time to time for reasons of administrative convenience. The company will make all reasonable efforts to meet the issuance requirements. Assuming such satisfaction of the issuance requirements for income tax purposes, the exercised shares will be considered transferred to the participant on the date the options are exercised with respect to such exercised shares. The inability of the company to meet the issuance requirements deemed by the company's counsel to be necessary or advisable for the issuance and sale of the shares hereunder will relieve the company of any liability in respect to the failure to issue or sell such shares as to which such issuance requirements will not have been met. As a condition to the exercise of the options, company may require the person exercising the options to represent and warrant at the time of any such exercise that shares are being purchased only for investment without any present intention to sell or distribute such shares. If any opinion of the counsel of the company or representative, the options may not be sold, pledged, assigned, hypothecated, gifted, transferred, otherwise encumbered or disposed of in any manner, either voluntary or involuntary, by operation of law. Okay. Investment representation. The participant represents and warrants to the company that the participant is acquiring the options for investment for the participant's own account, not as a nominee or agent, not with the view toward any distribution or resale thereof. Further condition to the issuance of the options, the company may require certain agreements, undertaking, representation, certificates, and or information or other matters that the company may deem necessary or advisable. Okay. Exercise of options. Manner of exercise. Notwithstanding anything herein to the contrary, the options may not be exercised, and no shares may be issued upon exercise, unless and until the company's stockholders approve the award. Oh, interesting. So he could get the award before we approve it, but he can't exercise. So before we even get to voting on the award, we could potentially be sitting at 20 billion, 2 billion EBITDA. Maybe. Probably not, but you never know. Participant may exercise all or any portion of the options which have vested by delivering written or electronic notice in a form approved by the committee, or in a matter and pursuant to such procedure as the committee may determine, which shall state the election to exercise the options which have vested, the number of shares with respect to which the options is being exercised, and contain such other representations and agreements as may be required by the company. For the avoidance of doubt, the options may be exercised only within the term set out in the grant notice, and be exercised during such term only in accordance with the award in these terms and conditions. The exercise notice will be accompanied by payment of aggregate exercise price as to all exercise shares together with any tax obligations. The option shall be deemed to be exercised upon receipt by the company of such fully executed exercise notice, accompanied by such aggregate exercise price. Payment of exercise price. The exercise price shall be payable in cash or by certified check or bank check or wire transfer of immediately available funds, subject to the participant providing the company with at least 90 days notice through net exercise, upon which the participant shall receive a number of shares equal to the aggregate number of shares being purchased upon exercise of such options, less than the number of shares having a fair market value equal to the aggregate purchase price of the shares as to which the options is being exercised, or 3, if permitted by law, selling a sufficient number of shares via a sell-to-cover arrangement, or a broker-assisted sale in coordination with the company through such means as the company may determine in its social... Wait, so he could sell his shares and turn around and rebuy these? If permitted by law, selling a sufficient number of shares via a sell-to-cover arrangement or a broker-assisted sale in coordination with the company through such means as the company may determine at its sole discretion. I don't know if that's exactly what that means, but potentially he could take profits on his shares and then turn around and buy these for 2066. I don't know if that's exactly what that's saying, but maybe. As soon as administratively practicable, following the date any portion of the options which have vested are deemed exercised pursuant to 6A and Section 6B, subject to the referring to in Section 7, and except otherwise provided herein as may be determined by the committee, company shall issue such shares promptly after the option is exercised. A lot of reading. Yeah, about 13 minutes. The market closes. HSR fee. Company shall pay all fees payable to a governmental authority associated with any filings required under the U.S. Hart-Scott-Rodino Antitrust Improvements Act of 1976, as amended, the rules and regulations promulgated thereunder in connection with the issuance of shares under this agreement. The participant in the company will make commercially responsible efforts in respect of any... What the fuck? That tripped me up. Any exercise of the options to comply with the HSR Act requirements, including making any filings required under the HSR Act. In no event may any shares be issued upon exercise unless and until the HSR condition is satisfied. For purposes of this agreement, the HSR condition means the termination or expiration of any waiting period under the HSR Act to the extent applicable to the participant's acquisition of shares upon exercise of the options. It's crazy. He has like 10-year options on the table. Like basically after you meet these requirements, he could do it literally like the day before, January, I think it's January 6th, 2036. He could literally do it on January 5th, 2036 and buy all those shares, exercise all those options at one time. It's not like he gets the options and he has to immediately exercise them. It's pretty interesting. Withholding, payment of tax withholding. The company shall require the payment of any tax obligations arising with respect to this agreement not later than the date of such obligations arise. Subject to the participant providing the notice described below, participant may satisfy any tax obligations in whole or in part as permitted by applicable laws by electing to have the company withhold a number of shares otherwise issuable to the participant as a result of the exercise of the options, which if vested having fair market value equal to up to the maximum statutory rate for such tax obligations, and the company may take such steps to fund such amount as the committee determines appropriate. In order to make the aforementioned election, the participant must provide notice to the company of this election at least 90 days prior to the tax obligations arising. To the extent the participant does not timely elect to have the company withhold shares in accordance with the immediately preceding sentence, then the participant may satisfy any tax obligations by paying cash or, if permitted by law, selling a sufficient number of shares otherwise deliverable to the participant via a sell-to-cover arrangement or a broker-assisted sale, in coordination with the company through such means as the company may determine in its sole discretion. If the participant provides a notice under Section 7A of the participant's election of net settlement in connection with the exercise of the options, and the participant subsequently fails to exercise such options, any failure by the participant to again exercise options following a subsequent net settlement notice under this Section 7A will be considered a breach of this arrangement. I don't exactly know what that means. Oh, Lord. Participant acknowledges that regardless of any action taken or not taken by the company, the ultimate liability for any tax obligation is and remains the participant's responsibility and may exceed the amount actually withheld by the company. Participant further acknowledges that the company A makes no representation or undertakings regarding the tax treatment of any aspect of the award, including but not limited to the grant, vesting, exercise of options, or subsequent sale of the underlying shares, and B does not commit to and is under no obligation to structure the terms of the grant or administer any aspect of the award to reduce or eliminate the participant's tax liability or to achieve any particular tax result. Further, if the participant is subject to tax obligations in more than one jurisdiction between the grant date and the date of any relevant taxable or tax withholding event as applicable, the participant acknowledges that the company may be required to withhold or account for tax obligations in more than one jurisdiction. The participant fails to make satisfactory arrangements for the payment of any required tax obligations hereunder at the time of the applicable taxable event. Participant acknowledges and agrees the company may refuse to issue or deliver the shares. Good Lord. A lot of reading here. I'll be right back. I'm back. I'm back. I got some seaweed. Unfortunately, it's not teriyaki, so it doesn't taste very good. The sea salt seaweed's kind of gross. Not the best. Not the best. Got 4 more minutes. It's really interesting trading between 2080 and 2120. I don't know. I don't know if you've ever actually like traded down here like this. Usually you immediately like reject, or you know, you go right through those prices. I guess back in November you kind of did. Sort of. But yeah, usually you bounce right off of 2120. I guess back 2024 you actually traded between these prices. But that was before the that was before I even noticed the long or the low volume area, I think. I don't think the low volume area was noticeable until after October 24. And that's where it started to become a low volume area, and that's where I started to notice it. I don't really remember though. That was a long time ago. I just know 2120 and, well, 2080 is actually more recent, but 2120 has been a relevant price on GameStop for almost 2 years now. My own seaweed seasoning? I don't know what I would season it with. I don't know if it would stick. I think the seasoning's like cooked into the seaweed. I don't know if it would stick. I don't mind the sea salt seaweed. Just the teriyaki seaweed tastes good. This just tastes like seaweed. This is what eating seaweed's all about. Teriyaki's kind of cheater. It's like the cheater way to eat seaweed. Because it actually tastes good. Participant reviewed their own tax advisors. Participant relies solely on such advisors and not on any statement or representation of the company or any of its agents, written or oral. Participant understands the participant shall be responsible for participant's own tax obligations and any other tax-related liabilities that may arise as a result of the transactions contemplated by this agreement. Any stock exchange upon shares are listed. In consideration with the grant of this award, the participant agrees to be subject to any policies of the company regarding clawback, security trading, and hedging or pledging the securities of the grant date, or as many may otherwise be required by applicable law. Participant agrees to be subject to any policies of the company regarding clawback, securities trading, and hedging. I think we read about that a long time ago. I don't think GameStop stockholders are allowed to hedge, at least insiders. or trade. Is that close? Finally closed. 2102. Not bad. Not bad. It's interesting not moving massive from the pivot though. You're trading the pivot. So, potentially a big move's coming. Potentially. Which direction, you know, to be determined, but usually you don't trade the pivot like this. Usually you just spike right through it. But, you know, short-term price action stuff, hard to predict, but general rule of thumb for all shares, if you can find the pivot, pretty key. That's a key price. A key price to pay attention to. And in my opinion, the pivot on GameStop is 2120 and 2080. Well, it used to be 2120. Now I'd say it's more 2080, but it's probably between those two. Lambo seasoning. Not quite. It's not Lambo seasoning right now. Alright, I don't want to read the rest of this. Payment of participants' legal fees. What is that? Company has agreed to pay a reasonable legal fees incurred by the participant in connection with the negotiation, documentation, and consummation of the grant of this award. The execution of this agreement and review of public statements. Up to an aggregate amount, $275,000. Reasonable legal fees incurred by the participant in connection with the HSR approval. Issuance. When it's a doubt, obligation to pay legal fees in section 23. Okay. Company is not providing any tax, legal, or financial advice, nor is the company making any recommendations regarding this agreement. Committee at any time may take any actions it deems equitable in good faith to correct any manifest error made under this agreement without prejudice. Trumbull wants Greenland for the cooling / cold too for cooling new energy facilities, AI, computing, building, quantum computing, Bitcoin mining, cooling. Yeah, most likely. Most likely. I don't know why they're not building all this shit in space, though. It'd be kind of cool to build it all in space. Maybe one day, you know. Probably when we're all dead. But it would be cool to build all that shit in space. 13 sprint spread. I mean... AI is pretty whack. AI is pretty whack. Gaining a new blah, blah, blah. I don't want to read the rest of this. Trying to see if there's anything. I'm just skimming through to see if there's anything important. I've read enough of this shit, though. That was a lot. That was a lot of reading. Ugh. Super stonk. What a terrible place. What a terrible place. The hell is this?
Oh, what's that? A boulder? Is that good? Is that good? Oh! Oh! Oh!
Man, I wish I could get that excited over like a $500 card. I think I did get pretty excited when we pulled Squirtle, but that was mostly just for the lulz. I don't think I was actually that excited. I think it's funny. I'm pretty sure Ryan ratioed the fucking. I think Ryan ratioed IGN. That's hilarious. I'm pretty sure he ratioed him. Oh, not quite. Not quite, but close. I don't know if they actually can ratio, because anytime someone comes and views Ryan Cohen's comment, they're also viewing this. So I don't know if they'd even be able to ratio it. Who knows? Who knows? X10 is fire? No, it's not. People's tinfoil on GameStop is garbage. Always has been and forever will be. They already are. Have some in space? Maybe. Isn't ratio on the likes? Could be. I don't know. I thought it was just the overall post. Like views, likes, and everything. Comments, reposts. I thought it was a mix of everything. But he definitely got more comments, more reposts, more likes. Just not quite there with the views. That's a new animation, though. I don't think they...
Oh, what's that? A boulder?
That's new. I don't think they had that animation before. Nah, I'm not interested in tinfoil. I'm interested in reality. If tinfoil's, exciting for you, that's cool, but I'm not. I'm not excited about that stuff. I'm not really excited about people's opinions who don't even invest in the stock or consistently buy it. Like, I don't know. At this point, I don't understand tinfoil. This is the stock market. Like, I've predicted almost every single portion of this fucking stock at this point, so, like, people's tinfoils are pretty irrelevant to me. But like I said, if you find them interesting or funny or whatever, like, that's cool, but it's not for me. It's not for me. But if there's nothing else, I think I'm out of here. I don't think there's anything else to talk about here. Maybe we should buy a Mercedes G-Wagon, since it's suggesting it. Looks like it wants me to buy a G-Wagon. Thinks I'm rich for some reason. Only $183,000 for this G-Wagon? Light work, bro. Light work. That's actually ridiculous. That's actually fucking ridiculous. This one's only $188,000. Man, what a good deal. What a good deal. What an awesome deal. I haven't looked at anything more than headlines of 4-hour chart for months. I don't look at news on GameStop. Like, I'll look at Reddit sometimes, but like, I honestly couldn't even tell you the last time I saw something relevant that wasn't just, you know, like the 13D or something, or like a Ryan Cohen Twitter post. Like, besides the obvious shit, I haven't seen anything relevant in so long. So it's hard to like care about that stuff. And I never cared about news to begin with, even really. I've never associated stock price action to news ever in my life. So to me it's just irrelevant. Price action predicts everything. And the fact that you're trading on the pivot and not selling off or skyrocketing, that's interesting. You know. Other than that, I don't know. What's up, Hugh G? How you been, bro? Must be salvage title. Yeah, I bet this one's like 200 racks. I don't know, 188. How come that doesn't make any sense. How come the 2024 20,000 miles is cheaper than the... Oh, this is like brand new. Okay. Damn, 2022 with only 500 miles? That's actually pretty nuts. I don't think I'd ever... I would never buy a G-Wagon, I don't think, unless I had like tens of millions of dollars, but... Just sent my first card to get graded with GameStop, traded in an old slab to cover the grading costs. Oh, that's sick. That's cool. Got the whole experience. I haven't traded in a slab yet. Have you looked at the store closing list recently? I think there's just one notable thing. I talked about it like when I first started the stream, but there's one really notable thing in this list here, and that is in Vermont. There's only one GameStop left open in Vermont. Like, that's wild. One GameStop left. I wonder if that's, you know, gonna be common between a lot of the states. I wonder if it's just gonna be like a couple stores at some point. And then they closed my store, obviously, which is pretty sad. Damn, they closed 45 stores in Texas? Holy shit. That's crazy. And they don't even have the Grapevine one here. So this list is probably going to continue to get updated. Haven't looked at the list, but I've seen the headlines. One was closed by me just the other day. Yeah, the one closest to me got closed. I just think that Vermont one is interesting. Because only one GameStop remains. Like, that's pretty wild. People live in Vermont? Yeah, I bet a lot of people live there. Vermont population. 648,000 people in Vermont. Let's compare that to, like, I don't know, I'll compare it to Utah, I guess. Okay, so Vermont's pretty small, but still, 643,000 people? Damn, Utah has a fuckload of people. How many does California have? Probably like 10 million? 40 million? Holy shit! Holy shit! Wow. So I wonder if it's going to be based off of population. Nevada's 32 million, it looks like. Huh. So if there's only one GameStop in Vermont for 643,000 people, maybe some, Colorado or Utah had 3.5 million, so maybe there's only going to be like 5 or 6 GameStops left in Utah. I wonder if they're going to go off of population, or maybe they're going to make GameStop like what am I trying to think of here? Kind of like a experience, where there's only like a couple stores per state, but there's a good reason to go there. Maybe there's something to do, or like tournaments, or I don't know. Or maybe they'll open new ones in Vermont. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Pretty interesting, though. And then they also closed the oldest GameStop ever in Massachusetts. This was the oldest opening. Yeah, this is the oldest GameStop ever, I guess. Or oldest opening date, it says. It was an electronic boutique in 1979. And then 50 stores in California got closed. Like, that's crazy. That's a lot. Minnesota? I'll check Minnesota. Minnesota population. Minnesota has almost 6 million people, so Vermont's just small. Local GameStop's probably gonna close before I get my card back. They'll transfer it to the nearest GameStop. That's what it said in my email. Do I still have the screenshot of my email? Let's see. Yeah, I do. Yeah, see, mine says it got like any pre-orders or PSA submissions will be transferred to this GameStop. So they'll just transfer it to another one. But honestly, you could just fucking have them ship it to the vault. Unless you want the physical card. I'm gonna rob the store. But yeah, fun stuff. Fun stuff. What's the market look like before we go? I'm about to head out of here, unless you guys got something to talk about. I just want to check the market, the overall market here. It's probably the most interesting the market's been in a while. It's just moving slow. Slow and steady. Everyone wants to talk about the stores that are closing. No one wants to focus on the ones they're opening. I don't think they're opening stores. Do you think? I don't think they're opening stores. I don't think they will. Honestly. If they're closing this many stores, I don't think they will open new stores. Like, at this point, unless literally all of those stores unless all these fucking stores were losing money, I don't think they would open new ones. I find it hard to believe that every, 471 stores, I find it hard to believe that 471 stores are unprofitable. There's probably some stores that are profitable, like 2, 3, 4% margins, but if you're only making, 2, 3, 4% margins on some of these profitable stores, there's no point to even have those stores open because you can make 3% on cash. Like, there's no point in investing into these stores. So, yeah, unless 471 stores were unprofitable, I don't think they're gonna open new ones. I really don't. Unless it's gonna be like an experience type thing, kind of like the Netflix house or some shit like that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess we'll see one day. Let's see what the market looks like here. Chip index hit a new all-time high. XRT sitting at new all-time high. Well, it's at all-time highs. It's not making new all-time highs. Transports are new all-time high. I think that's transports. Wow, there's a lot of interesting things. The S&P hit new all-time. Damn, the S&P hit new all-time highs today. Holy shit, 7,016. Good lord. Good lord. The Russell hit a new all-time high today too. Dow's basically at all-time highs. The Nasdaq's not that far away. Like, the Nasdaq could literally hit new all-time highs tomorrow. It's definitely possible. Remember when I said oil was a good trade, and now it's up like 5%. Feels good to be a GameStop investor when the stock doesn't even move. Man. I love it. I love being like such a good market predictor, but still, I believe in GameStop so much. It's like I won't even take advantage of all these stupid little trades. I love it. And people still think I'm wrong. That's the even better part. People still think I don't know what I'm talking about. God, a lot of these indexes are ripping, son. Aren't people bearish right now? Imagine being bearish. Imagine being bearish when shit's hitting all-time highs. Imagine being bearish. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. I think people are just bearish on AI, but still. I don't know why. Why isn't this working? Oh yeah, I gotta do this. Forgot. Okay, well, market looks good overall. GameStop. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Not that exciting, but I'm about to get out of here. So, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. In April, like last year? April's when the market bounced. But if stocks are hitting all-time highs every single day, it's not going down. When the market stalls for like a month or two, then we can talk about bearish things, but when indexes are hitting new all-time highs and making new highs every single day, sorry, the market's not going down. It's just not even realistic. You need to have a stall out moment. But either way, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you have a good rest of your day. God bless ya. Also, the economics don't really, they aren't really set up for a correction or a sell-off or anything like that. So, I don't know. You know, anything's possible, but I've been doing this shit a long time, and it's pretty, it's pretty easy to see when a sell-off's gonna come, but when stocks are going up every single day, that's not how the stock market works. It's not. It's really not. You can't sell off when you're hitting new highs every single day. But I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Ruben, Muma, Moose, Hughie. I don't know who else is here. I mean, all I'll say is you have to give a good reason why you think that. You can't just say things. I mean, you can, but you gotta have a good reason why you think that. But either way, I'll see you guys tomorrow.